Hello, geometry class. Mr. Martin here. Tuesday work. Hopefully you enjoyed the video yesterday. It was a light one. So today we got a little bit more things that we're going to be working on. We're going to be working with radicals a little more. So I'm going to ask you to kind of think back to what you remember from this year, from past years about radicals. And then tomorrow, just work on the individual work from the packet. Thursday's catch-up day. Friday is social emotional day. Reach out to behavior specialists, social workers, and please try to meet with them, talk with them. I know this is a tough time. There's a lot more even going on than just COVID right now. So please take your time to meet with those people, talk to those people. All right. So yesterday we worked with 30, 60, 90s and 45, 45, 90s on finding, just recognizing which triangle they were based on the side length, based on the what the information given. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be students will be able to use the radical to find the missing sides. Okay, what that means is we're going to maybe have a side that in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, that if this side is 16 and we're looking for this and that, but that doesn't work because not all sides can be 16. So we gotta remember how to use a radical. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna review just something that we may have forgotten that probably we talked about earlier in the year, and it just kind of slips away because we talked about it quickly. But when you have a radical in the denominator of fraction, in the bottom of the fraction, then you cannot leave it that way. You got to simplify it. So to get the radical out of the denominator, you got to multiply both the denominator and the numerator by that same radical. Because if I multiply radical to, or the square root of 2 by square root of 2, it's just going to give me 2. All right, and then there'll be no more radical in the denominator. So we're going to take a look. I'm going to get rid of this by going like this. Put the fraction, square root 2, and then I'm going to multiply both by square root 2 again. And remember, anything over itself is always going to be 1. So I'm just basically multiplying this whole fraction by 1, but just rearranging it. So this simplified is 12 square root 2 over square root 2 times square root of 2 is just going to be 2. Now I can simplify a little more, and I do 12 divided by 2, and that's going to be 6 square root 2. All right, that's going to be my simplified version of this right here. I no longer have a radical in the denominator. I brought it up to the numerator. I was able to simplify a little more by dividing the 12 by 2. I got 6. 6 square root 2 ends up being my simplified version of this here. So we're going to use this information right here to solve for missing sides. Okay, so I'm going to take this triangle I drew up here just a second ago, and I want to figure out how I can utilize that information to find what x is. All right. Well, I know that this 16 has to be, this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, okay? 45, 45, 90. So this 16 has to be equal to x square root 2. Why don't I just set up an equation that proves that, or that shows that? So 16 equals x times the square root of 2. Oh, awesome. Now I have a little equation that I can go ahead, I can simplify and find my x value. And once I have my x value, I then can plug that into my easy formula and just make it my x values. So what I want to do here is, first things first, divide by the square root of 2 here. That gets rid of it here. Divide by the square root of 2. All right? So now I'm left with 16 over square root of 2 equals x. However, I can't leave this like this. As we just went over, I can't leave the square root of 2 in the denominator. So what I have to do is I have to both multiply my numerator and my denominator by that square root of 2. So 16 square root 2 times square root 2 times square root 2. Okay? Square root 2 times square root 2, it just is 2 over, and then we have a under 16 square root 2. All right? The 16 and the 2, they simplify, and I end up with 8 square root 2. 8 square root 2 is my x value. So I have x equals 8 square root 2. Oh, okay. So if I know what x equals, I'm going to take that x value and I'm just going to plug it in for where my x's are. My x is here and my x is here. 8 square root 2, 8 square root 2. And those are my two answers right there. Those are my x values. Here's my 45, 45, 90 triangle, 8 square root 2, 8 square root 2, 16. Okay? It doesn't look like this over here that we've been dealing with. There's no square root 2 on this side, but I was able to utilize a little formula that I know because I know that the 16 is equal to x square root 2 and find my x value. And once I found my x value, I was able to plug that in for what my x's are. Let's take a look at another one. Let's look at a 30, 60, 90 now. Okay. So 30, 60, 90. Hopefully my marker doesn't run out of ink. So if I have, so here's my 30, 60, 90. Okay. I'm given 15 down here, okay? 15 down here, and I want to find these two sides, okay? Or this, we'll label them as, this is 2x, and this is x. Because I have that 30, 60, 90, those are the two ones that I'm looking for. I have 15, okay? So, to solve this, I got to take this 15, and I want to know what it is in x square root 3. So I want to take 15, and I want to set it equal to my x square root 3. X square root 3. All right? And as we did last time, as we did before, we're just going to solve it. We're going to divide both sides by square root 3. Gets rid of this side by square root 3. All right? I'm left with 15 over the square root of 3 equals x. However, that doesn't help me because I got a square root 3 in the denominator. I got to get that out of there. I got to get that out of there so it's a proper fraction. And so I got to multiply both numerator and denominator by the square root of 3. So 15 square root 3 over square root 3 times square root 3. Okay? And that's going to be x. I'm left with 15 square root 3 over 3 is equal to x, because the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just 3. Now, I can simplify here. I can say 15 divided by 3 is what? 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I'm left with 5 square root 3 is equal to my x value. Great. Let's put that over here for my x. 5 square root 3. Now, I need to find my 2x, which means I got to take this 5 square root 3 and multiply it times 2. Because it's 2 times this value. So all we're going to do here is we're just going to take the 2, multiply it by the 5. And we're going to get 10 square root 3. Okay? So this value here is 10 square root 3. And that's my answer. Those are my answers to this problem. All right, let's do one last one. We'll do another 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay. And I'm going to give you the hypotenuse again. Okay, the long side. That makes it just a little bit more difficult to solve because we're not going to have that easy kind of plug and play. We got to create a little equation. So here's my 45, 45, 90. There we go. Triangle and 30. That side's 30. Okay. So I take a look at what my 45, 45, 90 triangle looks like, and it's x and x and x square root 2. Okay. Let's take the 30, because I know the 30 is equal to the x square root 2. I make an equation. 30 equals x square root 2. And I just solve. Divide by square root 2. Divide by square root 2. I have 30 over square root 2 equals x. Great. Now let's simplify. Let's get that square root 2 out of the bottom. I multiply both the numerator and the denominator by that. 30 2, 2, and I know when I do this, square root 2 times square root 2 is just going to make it 2. So we have 30 square root 2 over 2. 30 square root 2, 30 divided by 2 is just going to be 15. I'm going to have 15. Square root 2 is going to be my x. And then the 45, 45, 90 triangles, do I have to do anything else to this? I have my x value. Nope, I don't have to do anything else. I go ahead and I just plug it into those sides. 15. And that's my answer. All right. A lot of work with radicals today, a lot of difficult things. It's not always easy working with radicals. You got to remember these rules that we went over beginning of the year, rules that you've been over before in maybe middle school or even last year. But once you kind of get it, hopefully it's sinking in, hopefully you're remembering it. If you have questions, please reach out. I hope you are all doing well. Good luck on the packet work tomorrow. Don't forget to turn in the packet. Don't forget to submit it when you are finished working on it. If it's taking you more than half an hour, stop working and just submit it. Let me know. All right. And that's about it. Reach out if you have any questions. I hope you have a good one. Bye.